Welcome, everybody, to the Greg Cherry Show. If you saw the graphic at the beginning of the show, and I actually have to update that right now, we are talking about one thing and one thing only today, and it's rather unavoidable. We kind of got to talk about it today. And it's not exactly something I would like to talk about, but I feel like it's necessary. So, normally on the show, we talk about, football and wrestling. We talk about the weird laws, and I do have some weird laws to go over today, just because I don't want this show to be complete downer. But it's pretty unavoidable, being that the election is in 6 days. And that's all anybody has wanted to talk about for months. So we're going to talk about it. Ish. I don't necessarily want to talk about, the candidates' positions, and I don't want to talk about, Trump versus Biden. Is Trump better? Is Biden better? Blah, 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 blah. That's not my style. If you watch the show before, that's not my style. What I do want to talk about is how embarrassed I am for how people think about politics. And people say, "Oh, well, it has nothing to do with politics." Politics has seeped its way into everything in America. So yes, thanks to our lovely media that decides everything needs to be a political decision. Yes, politics is in everything. Nothing can be left alone to its own devices without somebody throwing out a controversial opinion out there that is not exactly popular. And ironically, on this show, I'm going to throw out a lot of controversial opinions that aren't popular. I'm going to get hate from both sides of the aisle because I'm not voting for either one of them. What do I care? I had to block some people yesterday because I said people can have their own opinions. And I got called a racist and hateful and dense and all this other shit. I said, hey, listen, if I literally said on the post where Jericho donated money to Trump, listen, I'm not going to donate money to Trump. I don't donate money to any political campaign. And I don't think I ever will. Just because, but if people want to donate money to a political campaign, if they want to donate their own money, that's their call. It's ultimately up to them. And people should not be dragged into the fire because of who they donate money to. That's their prerogative. And I got so much crap over that, saying that, hey, if like another wrestler wanted to donate $3,000 to Biden's campaign, okay, fine, whatever. That's his prerogative. I'm not going to be mad about it. What's the point in being mad about somebody spending their money how they want to spend it? That's not up to you. And so many decisions in life, so many of people's decisions in life are not up to you. You and your truth don't dictate morality. There is truth and there is fiction. There is no in between. You can't call something your truth because it's what you believe. What you believe is fine. That's what you believe. That's your opinion. That's how you feel. But don't you dare state your opinion as if it's fact. And that is all people do anymore. Nobody knows what the hell is true because they like to back up their opinions with spun facts. And this is both sides of the aisle. Democrats do it. Republicans do it all the damn time. You can't have any peace whatsoever about a decision without being dragged through the mud. You cannot have an opinion anymore if it is not popular, because you will get dragged through the mud. You are not allowed to think differently than somebody else because you will get dragged through the mud. Piss off. You don't dictate how I think. You don't get to call me a racist because I have a different opinion than you. That is not racism, jackass. Do you know what racism is? Or do you just throw it out there as a crutch when you don't have an argument? Racism is if somebody would judge somebody else solely and only based on their race. That is the definition of racism. And it has escaped a lot of people because they love to throw out the word and attach it to somebody who disagrees with them. That disagreeing with somebody is not racism. Wake up. And I'm ready for the comments that say, hey, look at this white guy telling us about racism. What about the Democratic white guys telling you about racism? What about that? Is it cool when it aligns with your definition of it? When they align with your political beliefs, is it okay when they do it? It's stupid. Everybody's just changing the meaning of things to fit their narrative. Everybody who lives simply based on their political beliefs is living a lie. This sounds like I'm out of my mind. It sounds like I need to be put in a home or like an asylum or something. But I'm a normal one. I look at liberals, I look at conservatives, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with both of you? They've gone so far extreme that there is no middle ground anymore. There's none. What is... And people were jumping my shit yesterday about Jericho donating to Trump. Like I'm a Trump voter. It's like, hey, listen, first of all, A, you don't follow me. B, if you had, you know I'm voting third party. And C, if you pay attention to anything I talk about, you know I don't have a hateful bone in my body. This is just frustration. This isn't hate. I don't hate you guys for your opinions. Like if you're a hardcore liberal and you want to vote for Biden and that's what you believe, fine. That is your prerogative. We can still be friends. Believe it or not, supporting one political candidate or another is not going to be a deal breaker in our friendship. Now, if it's all you talk about, I really won't want to talk to you because politics is a work. And I don't go on these political tangents very often because it fires me up and it frustrates me so much that nobody wakes up to the fact that being a Republican or being a Democrat doesn't mean a damn thing. These parties have been in control of the United States of America. You ready for this? For 160 years in a row. And you think voting for the other party is going to be change? You think voting Democrat because a Republican's in office or vice versa is going to be change? It's not going to change anything. You're still going to be mad about stuff. Stuff still isn't going to get done, and you're still going to blame the other party even when they're not in control. Guys, wake up. Politics is not that hard, but everybody makes it like it's freaking Battletoads. Gamers will get that reference. It's not that hard. but it seems impossible to work together on anything. Say, oh, I want to reach across the other side of the aisle. I'm going to be a candidate that works with a bipartisan effort. There's no such thing as bipartisan. It's a unified effort. Bipartisan means, hey, we each get stuff we want, but we're still going to hate each other. That's what bipartisan means. Bipartisan is one of the biggest lies that politicians tell us, and that's saying something. There's no such thing as bipartisan. That's not a real, not that much in politics is real anyway, but there's nothing real about that word. It makes it seem like, oh yeah, we're going to try and work together on a bipartisan effort, blah, 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 blah. It makes no sense. And why? What does it get you to hate somebody solely and only because of their political beliefs? And that's what makes me laugh so much. Like I had to laugh yesterday when I posted that tweet about, hey, if you judge somebody solely and only because of their political beliefs, you're the problem. And people had a problem with that. Hey guys, if you're watching the show, how does it feel to make me right? You judged me solely and only because of an opinion that I had, and you didn't have all the facts. I supported Jericho's right to support whoever he wanted to support. And now I'm a racist because I support somebody's right to have an opinion. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. And I really say that as some jackass drives up the street on a motorcycle, which he does every single day, I'll never understand how somebody can hide behind a keyboard and spew such vitriolic hatred towards somebody and live with themselves. I didn't say anything that's, or maybe people are upset with me calling them out, saying that, hey, if you judge somebody because of their politics and only because of their politics, you're a problem. And people didn't like that because guess what? It's the truth, and the truth hurts. If you are solely focused on somebody's political views, it is the dumbest thing. And I'm going to say this. I used to bleed red like nothing else. I used to. I will fully admit, I have admitted it on the show before. I used to be full-blown Republican, all red everything. Okay? But you know what happened? I grew up and realized how stupid politics was. I grew up and realized that, hey, it's not necessary to hate somebody simply because they think differently than you. I grew up. I learned, I stepped back, took a look at the big picture, and realized that, hey, fighting against each other is not working. Have a civil conversation about it, work together to figure out a solution, and move on. Hating somebody for your entire life simply because they are in a different political party is the dumbest thing in the world. And if that's you, if you hate somebody simply because they have an R or a D in front of their name, grow up. That is how children act. And quite frankly, there are a bunch of children in Congress right now that don't realize this. And they will attack on every single thing without solving a damn problem. Simply because there's a different letter after their name. Oh, there's an R after your name? You're racist. Oh, there's a D after your name? You're this, that, and the other thing. Shut up. Grow up. Whatever happens on Tuesday, take it like a man. Take it like a woman. Take it like whatever gender you are. Take it like a human being. Dust yourself off and move on. Because guess what? If you live your life simply based on who's in office, you're never going to be happy. You're just straight up never going to be happy if politics is the reason your heart is beating. There is more to life. There is so much more to life than political beliefs. There are sports. There is jobs. There are vacations. There are spending time with your family, spending time with your friends, playing games, having game nights, going to parties. So there's so much more than to worry what's going on in Washington, D.C. Because guess what? The people in D.C. don't give a damn about you. Actually, that's a lie. They'll care about you on Tuesday, and Wednesday, they'll be dead to you, regardless of the result. Love you too, brother. Savvy the Killer from Twitch says the goal in America is to live equally. You shouldn't hate each other for your political belief. Absolutely. You are correct. We should all, and that's why I'm supporting the libertarian candidate. It's a joking phrase with the libertarians. Libertarians want to take over the world and leave you alone. Meaning you can do what you want. We're not going to judge you for it. We're not going to hate you for it. You live your life the way you want to live it. That's what this country was founded on. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happiness is not guaranteed. The pursuit of happiness is up to you. But happiness in and of itself is not guaranteed. And if you think somebody in Washington's going to do it, they're not. They don't care. They'll care enough if you give them your vote, but other than that, they don't actually care. Marshall Leonard, God bless you, Greg Cherry, for standing your ground on what you believe in. And I appreciate that, Marshall. And quite frankly, I wish more people would get this message. Because this is not a Democrat versus Republican issue. I mean, it is. This is why is there need to be a versus? Cleaver calling Andrew, JoJo 2020. Yes. Joe Jorgensen 2020. Agreed. Anybody who sees this as conservatives are evil because they support Trump, or liberals are evil because they support more government. First of all, they both support more government, so stop that. You need to realize that politics isn't everything. If you live your life being a political activist, you are going to be depressed for the rest of your life. Because you might be fighting your entire life for a cause that will never come to anything. But guys, life is too short. You have a passion. That's fine. That's a passion project. That shouldn't be your life's calling, especially if it doesn't amount to anything. There is more to life than politics. People say, oh, we're fighting for equal rights. By all accounts, we all should have equal rights. I mean, the LGBT can get married now. And that's been years ago. African Americans should have the right to everything thanks to the civil rights movement of the 60s. Like there shouldn't be, we fight for equal rights. We need to change people's minds. You guys have the rights. You need to change people's mind to understand what people are going through. It's not a rights issue. It is a mind issue. People think selfishly for themselves. Everybody needs to work together to understand what other people are going through. And we don't see that. Everybody is out for themselves. And it is beyond frustrating. We need to be kind to each other. We need to love each other. And love isn't just like a romantic thing. Like, I'm not saying like go over and kiss your neighbor because such and such. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying love them in the sense that you respect them, that they are trying to make a living too. Love them that they are getting through this crazy life just like you are. If they have a different opinion, fine. That's okay. Being different is okay. And if they have hateful minds, guess what? Throwing hate back at them makes you that person. Do you guys not see this? Like, if you are hating a hateful person, you are what you hate. Why is this so hard? Everybody who hates Trump because they say they're a hateful person and they have devoted their entire lives to destroying this man. Guess what? You are Donald Trump. You have become the exact thing that you hate and you don't see it. And that will either blow people's minds or piss them off. I don't care which one it does, because you need to hear it. And it's the same thing. If you hate Biden and you spew hate at him, you've become Joe Biden. Like it's not, it doesn't, it's not something that is limited to one party or another. This is a broad blanketed statement. If you actually care about people like you claim you do, and you support people's rights, that applies to everybody, not just who you like. Fighting for people's rights is not a small group issue. If you are fighting for somebody's rights, you are fighting for everybody's rights, including those you don't like. Because if you pick and choose, you are no better. Like, that is a child's game. Like, oh, we don't want to play with you because of such and such. That is a children's game because they don't know any better. If you're doing it as an adult, you damn well know better, and the hate is in your heart. If you are in your mid-30s like I am, and you still hold that much hatred towards somebody, the problem is with you, not the other person. Have you ever heard the phrase that having hate for somebody is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die? That's exactly what it is. So why are you putting yourself through all of this suffering? And I understand if you support causes or whatever. Like if you support a cause, fine, but you don't have to be a dick about it. Like, support your cause. Be positive. Support your cause. Show the good reasons for it, not the, oh, we do this because it's anti-hate. First of all, saying your message is anti-hate is basically a way to justify you being hateful towards somebody else, whether you like it or not. And there are a lot of people who need to hear this message. And there are a lot of people who will take it the wrong way. And will see myself going for Trump or going for Biden. I'm not going for either one of them. I'm asking for frickin' peace. Right? I understand that 2020 has caused a lot of people to lose their minds, but hot damn. At least start looking for yours again. I want to read a couple comments from Marshall. It is a mind issue. People don't care about anyone but themselves, and that is not okay. Jesus would be appalled in what is going on right now. People need to find God if they haven't already, because the Lord will do miracles for you. I go to church every Sunday, and on this past Sunday service, my pastor told us that no matter the outcome of the election, November 3rd, the Lord will be standing with you, even if the politician that is elected doesn't stand with you. And he's right. Because believe it or not, even if you don't believe in Jesus, he still loves you. And people will be upset that I talk any quote unquote religion. This is not a religious thing. This is not me shoving my opinions down your throat. This is me showing you that there is hope beyond this world. Because I'm telling you what, if this world is all there is, we're all screwed, regardless of where we're at. But I believe that there is more to life than just what is of this world. I'm a Christian. And that in and of itself is a controversial thing to say nowadays. I believe in God. Am I perfect? Have you listened to some of the stuff I talked about? Do you think I'm perfect? If I came up here and was like a judgmental Christian, do you know how hypocritical I would be? You wouldn't be able to trust anything I said. But me coming up telling you I'm a Christian, I screw up all the time. I suck at this. Humility. It's an amazing thing, isn't it? I am nowhere near the model Christian. And model Christian in and of itself is a misnomer. Do you know how you're a Christian? You believe in Jesus Christ as your Savior. You can try to live a perfect life. You're not going to do it. You can try. But if you have that understanding that Jesus loves you, and that is more important than every single political belief combined, multiplied by infinity, then your life will be better because of it. You will get through this life. There's no reason to hate people because they think differently than you. There's absolutely no reason for it. And if you do, maybe you don't have that peace in your life. If you come out and angrily say, I'm happy where I'm at, you're lying to yourself. Because if you're saying it angrily, you have anger somewhere in your life that you don't want to deal with. If messed up things happen to you in your life, God will get you through it. I can't count the number of times messed up things have happened to me. I'm not going to exactly go into them on the show. But there have been some messed up things that have happened to me. There have been some messed up things I've done, I'm sure. But you have to look inside yourself and understand that there is more to life than what's going on in DC. Please, I implore every single one of you, share this message. I know, like, I've been kind of jumping around with my tone, but my message is stay consistent. Don't hate somebody because they think differently than you. And be like, oh, Greg, you blocked somebody on Twitter because they were disagreeing with you. No, I blocked them on Twitter because they were attacking me. And it was completely unnecessary. They missed the point of my message. And I blocked them because we don't need to deal with hate. If you hate somebody that much, or if you disagree with somebody that much, block them. Or try to reach them. And if they're not reachable, then you block them. Because maybe it's not your fight to get them to realize what's wrong with them. You know? I just want this country to be at peace. I just want us all, regardless of gender, creed, sexual orientation, race, whatever the case may be, political leanings, we all can work together to make this a better country. It doesn't have to be one side or the other. It doesn't have to be you're on the Democratic side or the Republican side. How about being on the America's side to make this country better regardless of who is in it? I'm not going to tell you how to vote. Vote your conscience. Vote what brings you peace. Vote without hatred in your heart. It is not up to you to vote to send a message to somebody or vote with hatred in your heart because you believe somebody else has hate in their heart. Vote your conscience. Vote what brings you peace. That's what matters. So next Wednesday on the show, I might bring up the election results if they're done. Or I might just try and have fun because it'll be after the election and hopefully all the crap dissipates for a little bit so we can have some fun again. Me, I'm going to be celebrating my birthday next week. And do you know how freaking stressful it is to have a birthday the same week as the election? I'm not going to be mad at you if you vote for Trump. I'm not going to be mad at you if you vote for Biden. I'll be really ecstatic if you all vote for Joe Jorgensen. But I'm not going to hate you over it. Take notes. If somebody thinks differently than you, that's okay. Show them love, even if they show you hate. Love always wins. And love will always win. Okay, so I think that's significant enough for that topic. I do want to do Weird Law Wednesday because I think we could all use a laugh. And I didn't do any of the graphics because I thought I was going to go the duration of the show. But since we're doing Weird Law Wednesday, we're doing the state of Washington because I was looking for ones from DC and I did not see them unless I missed District of Columbia. I'm going to double check here. Nope, they don't have District of Columbia, which is very upsetting because you would think there would be a multitude of laws from DC. But we are going to talk about some weird laws in the state of Washington. Hopefully I can make you laugh because I think we all need it. Like the message was not intended to bring anybody down or make them feel down about themselves. It's just to realize that there's more important things than politics. So here we go. And Cody Fosterling says, how about your Steelers? The undefeated Steelers, yes. If Jeff was on, I'd probably rib him for, the Cowboys being 2-5 or whatever. But yeah, the Steelers are undefeated. My Notre Dame Fighting Irish are undefeated. It's a good time for me to be a football fan. And let's hope that keeps up, at least for my sake. So here we go. Weird Law Wednesday. Marshall, do a Weird Law Wednesday on the state of Iowa sometime. I believe when Jeff was hosting the show a couple weeks ago, he did Iowa. So you'll have to go back and check that. I believe Iowa was taken care of. So go back and watch that episode, of course, after this one's over. And yeah, I believe he took care of Iowa already. If he didn't, then we'll revisit it on a future episode. But anyway, here we go. Weird Washington laws. First of all, no person may walk about in public if he or she has the common cold. I mean, with the way this year's going, is that a surprise to anybody? This one's odd. It is illegal to attach a vending machine to a utility pole without prior consent from the utility company. Who is walking around and thinking to themselves, "Hey, you know what this telephone needs? Kit Kats." I like Kit Kats just like the next person, but why would you put a vending machine by a telephone pole? Like how? Why? I don't get it. Also in Washington, all lollipops are banned. So I guess you can't have lollipops in the vending machines. What's the why? Why would we? Why would you ban lollipops? That is a common murder weapon in Washington or something? Let's see here. A law to reduce crime states. It is mandatory for a motorist with criminal intentions to stop at the city limits and telephone the chief of police as he is entering the town. To anybody who didn't listen to my rant on politics being stupid, let me read that again. A law to reduce crime states. It is mandatory for a motorist with criminal intentions to stop at the city limits and telephone the chief of police as he is entering the town. So at what point do criminals not following laws, at what point does that enter the mind of whoever wrote this law? It's like, oh yeah, if they're gonna cause a crime, let the chief of police know so we can catch them earlier. Who the hell is gonna do that? Who's gonna be like, oh, when I stopped in Spokane, so might as well tell the chief of police that, hey, I'm planning on robbing this bank. It's on this and this street. Catch me if you can. What? What criminal is going to follow that law? Who thought of that? Unbelievable. It is illegal to pretend that one's parents are rich in Washington. I'm so confused. Why is it illegal to pretend about something? Like how much harm has that caused in Washington that it's that big of an issue? Oh man, I pretend like this guy told me his parents were rich and then I married him and then I found out he was broke and living in a cardboard box. So I'm suing him even though he doesn't actually have any money. I mean, is that what's going on? What? This one seems stupid too. As if the rest of these aren't. All motor vehicles must be preceded by a man carrying a red flag in the daytime or a red lantern in the nighttime 50 feet in front of said vehicle. So do all cars in Washington have like something attached to them going 50 feet ahead? That's just somebody carrying a red flag or a red lantern. I'm sure this law doesn't apply anymore. It can't. Figure this one out. When two trains come to a crossing, neither shall go until the other has passed. So if neither one of them, when they come to a crossing, can go, that means they are stuck there for all eternity because neither one of them can go until the other one's passed. So if you can't let one pass, who thinks of these? You know that all of these laws had to be thought up by somebody, be like, oh yeah, to prevent people from passing when it comes to trains, you can't let one go until the other one's passed. But you can't let the other one go until the other one's passed. And it becomes the cycle. What? I don't get this. One may not spit on a bus. Well, I mean, that's kind of disgusting. Of course, people do worse stuff on buses than spit. All right, some of the city laws. Oh, the one may not spit on a bus is a law in Seattle and Spokane. What? Why would you need to repeat it in different cities if it's a state law? One may not spit on a bus. Spitting on city buses is outlawed. How many people were spitting on city buses? In Seattle, women who sit on men's laps on buses or trains without placing a pillow between them face an automatic 6-month jail term. So you jailed a woman for sitting on a guy's lap? I mean, again, they could be doing worse stuff on the bus because they clearly can't spit. Why is the woman in trouble? Unless there's no seats, but that should be up to the driver. In Waldron Island, Washington, I believe that's how it's pronounced, no structure shall contain more than 2 toilets that use potable water for flushing. So no building can have more than 2 toilets in it. That seems very inconvenient for, like, the stadiums in Seattle. In Spokane County, Washington, strippers may not come closer than 4 feet to any customer. Social distancing and whatnot. In Walla Walla, Washington, it is illegal to give noxious substances. Try that again. It is illegal to give noxious substances to a bird in any city park. Who's drugging birds? Who's giving coke to the birds? Like what? Who's giving like freaking Jack Daniels to birds? Birds are bad enough flying around. We don't need them drunk. Well, a funny story. One time my wife and I were driving to church and it was like a heavy downpour and this bird was trying to fly and the winds were so strong, like it was flying backwards because like the wind was pushing them that hard. I thought it was funny. The bird's fine. It was just funny for me. I don't know. Anyway, in Wilbur, Washington, this is very important. In Wilbur, Washington, you may not ride an ugly horse. I don't know exactly who the standard bearers are for what determines an ugly horse. Are there like beauty factories or beauty shops in Wilbur, Washington that say, oh, hey, yeah, we deal exclusively with ugly horses so that you can ride them at some point? Because if they're ugly, you don't want to be seen on those ugly damn horses. What? Going back to Seattle, Washington. It is illegal to carry a fishbowl or aquarium onto a bus. Why so many bus laws in Seattle? It is illegal to carry a fishbowl or aquarium onto a bus because the sound of the water sloshing may disturb other passengers. Where are headphones? But then again, why would you need to carry your fish or an entire freaking aquarium onto a bus with you? Like, where are you needing that your fish can't go without like food or whatever? You're gonna be gone for a lengthy period of time. In Bremerton, Washington, you may not shuck peanuts on the street. How do you shuck a peanut? You mean like break it off and like throw the shell into the road? I don't eat peanuts, so somebody has to tell me. Probably definitely couldn't shuck peanuts on a bus, that's for sure. In Everett, Washington, it is illegal to display a hypnotized or allegedly hypnotized person in a store window. How many people were hypnotized and put on storefronts before somebody was like, okay, this is a problem? And what exactly are you advertising that you have to hypnotize somebody to appear in a storefront? I'm almost afraid to ask. Probably bus passes new in this state. Marshall Leonard, who's coming up with these laws? Your tax dollars at work, my friend. In Linden, Washington, dancing and drinking may not occur at the same establishment. Oh, Footloose Town's at it again. So that eliminates like any bar or any like line dancing place. I went to a line dancing place one time. I didn't get it. Like country line dancing, not my thing. This was years ago, by the way. And finally, might as well go back to Seattle for the big one. In Seattle, Washington, no one may set fire to another person's property without prior permission. Hey, did you get my permission to light that Xbox on fire? Oh, sorry. I already covered it in gas. Can I? Yeah, I guess. Just buy a new one. Shouldn't that be obvious? A lot of these laws you would think would be obvious. But that's all for the weird laws of the state of Washington. Man, I wish there were some DC laws. That would have been good stuff right before Tuesday. But anyway, we're going into our Wednesday Q&A, and you guys can ask me whatever you want to ask me. I mean, that's the point of the segment. And hopefully the main thing I want you guys to take away from this episode is the first half hour of it. And again, I really hope you guys enjoyed the first half hour of it. And I hope you spread the word about this particular episode. Because there are a lot of people out there who need to hear it, who are so politically one way or another that they need to see this particular episode. If you have a hardcore conservative who's shows no love for the liberals, show them this episode. If you have a hardcore liberal friend who thinks that all conservatives are racist, show them this episode. If you have somebody in the middle who doesn't know how to vote, show them this episode. This episode is really for everybody. I really hope you guys take this stuff to heart and help more people, more of your friends, more of your family, because it's all of us. Like, I'm not perfect either. I'm not going to sit here and say that I have all the answers. I'm just trying to show people that, hey, there's a better way to do things. Look into it, because what we're doing now isn't working. Marshall Leonard, do you think the Kansas City Chiefs could pull off 2 years in a row of winning the Super Bowl? They very well could. I mean, they're one of the top teams in the AFC right now. Obviously, I'm looking forward to the Steelers hopefully making their next appearance in the Super Bowl, number 9, and hopefully bringing home title number 7. But, there's still a lot of season to go. There's still 9 or 10 games for each team, and it's going to be a long road to get there. A lot of people like to judge where teams are going to end up after the first few weeks of the season. It's very possible that some of the teams on top might not even make the playoffs, and that's with the expanded playoff setup this year. There's 7 teams in each conference instead of 6, so only the top seed gets a bye. And the other 6 teams have to play each other to make it to the not the wild card, because that is the wild card, to the divisional playoffs. So yeah, the Chiefs, they do have a possibility. And it's like you said, anything can happen in the NFL. Stranger things have, and this year has been so weird that why not? I mean, Cleveland is still in the running, for crying out loud. Cleveland is 5-2 after this past week? I mean, the Steelers and the Ravens annihilated them, the games they played, but Cleveland is still one of the best teams in the AFC. Strange as it sounds. Who knows what... I'm really intrigued with what's going to happen with the NFC East. I don't see any team in there going past the divisional round. Probably past the wild card even. But it's so weird. I can't even call that division because all 4 teams in it are so bad. It seems like they can only win when they're against each other. Like, that's the only way any team in the NFC East is getting any wins, is playing in the NFC East. Because the Eagles beat the Giants, Cowboys beat the Giants for both of their wins. I think the Giants beat the Washington football team. I'd have to look at all of it. I'm not sure. I'm trying to follow the NFC East for the purposes of, hey, Jeff has a team in the NFC East, but it's such a dumpster fire in that division. Cody Fosterling, I don't trust Big Ben in a big game. He needs to improve his decision making. Yeah, this past Sunday was not his best performance, especially in the second half. I mean, it really started with the interception at the end of the first half, but not his best game. And yet the Steelers still won. I'm concerned about the defense relaxing in the second half. That is what scared me, that the Titans were able to drive down the field so quickly, so often. And they damn near tied that game at the end. And of all kickers, Gostkowski misses a field goal to tie the game. Football's weird. But I really hope that, And I have more faith in him than a lot of people do. I'm hoping Coach Tomlin doesn't rest on his laurels. Be like, hey, we won. We'll do the same thing next week. It's like, you guys are playing the Ravens. You can't do that against Baltimore. You just straight up can't. This isn't Tannehill we're talking about. This is freaking Lamar Jackson. You can't do that against the Ravens and expect to win. You got to be at your best. It's a divisional game. You're the only undefeated team left. You absolutely cannot make mistakes like that against a Baltimore team that, even though the Titans were undefeated prior to Sunday, you couldn't really do it against them either, and you damn near did. The Ravens are a completely different animal, though. I'm hoping it's a better game Sunday for Ben. And maybe the Titans just have different looks. It's so weird because, and my dad and I talk about this all the time, especially with Notre Dame. Notre Dame played Louisville a couple weeks ago and looked like absolute crap. They still won, but they did not look like a cohesive team at all. Defense did, but the offense was hot garbage. And then they played Pittsburgh, the Pitt Panthers, this past Saturday, and they won 45-3. So either Brian Kelly got in their head about, hey, you cannot have another offensive performance like that and expect to be national champions or expect to even be ACC champions, because Notre Dame's in a division this year and life is weird, or in a conference rather. But it's the strangest thing in the world. Football is just crazy this year. I'm glad we have it. Don't get me wrong, because we need some semblance of normalcy in this year that we call 2020. But I'm hoping that Tomlin puts a bug in their ear or something. And Marshall, you said it right. The Steelers can't be relaxed and expect to stay undefeated. That goes to this Sunday. They cannot play lax against teams like Baltimore, like Kansas City, like the Bills. You can't play like that against those teams. Even the Browns and the Bengals. And the Steelers annihilated the Browns 38-7. Like, the Browns are 5-2. And they whooped on them. They play again at the end of the season, but you cannot sit back and just coast and expect that, hey, we're good enough to go undefeated this season and maybe do something that hasn't been done since the Dolphins of 72. You can't just sit back and let that happen. You have to earn it. I'll tell you what, the Steelers are going to need to earn it, because they're playing the Ravens on Sunday. I'm going to be watching. Man, I hope it goes in our favor. All right, guys, that is all for this particular episode. Thank you for joining. I am, of course, Greg Cherry. I am serious, though, about spreading the word on this particular episode, because I think everybody needs to hear it. I really, really do. Especially with 6 days to go before the election. Help them realize that even if their candidate doesn't win on Tuesday, that life will be okay. It might suck for a little bit, but as a whole, life will be okay. And that is more important than any result that could happen on Tuesday. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Hopefully the world hasn't burned down by then. But I'll see you guys next Wednesday on The Greg Cherry Show.